My name is Hans, and I'm one of the co-founders of Termageddon. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through an entire setup of a Termageddon license. That means by the end of this call, you will have set up your $119 per year subscription, generated your policies, and your consent solution for your website or your application. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be accompanied with Ricky. He is our agency partner manager over at Termageddon.
Hi, everyone.
Ricky was the first to join Termageddon. He's still here. He still seems to enjoy what he does. At least he tells me he does. But yeah, in this video, I'm going to be taking the lead and walking you through the setup. But Ricky will be chiming in throughout with just some common questions we've seen from small business website owners when going through the questionnaire. Now, please note everything we share today is not legal advice. It's for informational purposes only. We are just trying to help you with the Termageddon tool. Okay, so let's get started. So I think it's good to understand a high-level overview of what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be registering a Termageddon account. You're then going to be verifying your email and purchasing a subscription, then walking through the questionnaire to help identify what laws apply and make the disclosures required under each applicable law. Once you answer the entire questionnaire, your policies and consent tool will be generated, and then it will be time to embed them onto your website. Now, we will provide support articles on how to embed them onto your website, but we'll provide high-level information on how to do this as well during this call. But the main purpose of this is to have you get through the entire Termageddon setup so that you can have proper policies that update over time. I'm going to start by sharing my screen. And Ricky, can you see my screen okay?
Yes, Hans, I can.
Excellent, Ricky. All right, so we're going to say that we're going to be using a fake website today, an architecture company. We whipped up the site real quick just for sample purposes. So we'll be using this as our main website. However, your website would obviously be different. But we'll say that our architecture company is called CM2 Architecture, and that's who we're pretending to be for today's setup. I want to note this example site has a YouTube video embed. It has a Calendly booking embed. It has oh, there it goes. It has a Google Map embed. And it has a contact form. These are very common things we see installed into small business owner websites. You may have something different, but that's no problem. The features and functionalities will all be addressed on a single page, which we'll address shortly. But let's go ahead and get started. The very first thing you want to do is go to termageddon.com. And in the top right corner, you want to click the purple register button. And if you're not seeing a purple register button, if you're seeing 3 lines, you may want to expand your browser width so that you see the register button. All right, so we're going to go ahead and register. And the first step is to create an account. Now, I put in a fake email here. Obviously, put in your real email address. This email will only be used to contact you regarding billing and also when laws impact your business. So it's extremely important you have a working email here because, well, you have to verify it in the next steps. But also, this allows us to email you directly when laws are changing, when we may need you to answer some additional new questions, and notifications when we're pushing new disclosures to your policy pages.
I've seen a lot of users put their personal email here, and then when going through the setup, that's where your business information and like business emails kind of tend to fit more there.
Yep. Yeah. Just reconfirming this email will not be disclosed in your policies. We ask that at a later time. There's also a sign in with Google option down here as well. But I'll go ahead and create my account. And the next thing I need to do is now head over to my email inbox to verify my email. And you should see an email like this that says confirm your Termageddon registration. When you click that, click confirm email address. You'll then need to sign in. Okay, so this is the page that loads when you have confirmed your email. And as you'll see here, you have 2 options. You can go right into purchasing and setting up a license, or you can visit your dashboard. You only need to visit your dashboard if you plan on receiving an invitation from someone else, maybe someone in your company, maybe your lawyer is sharing a license, or maybe your web designer is sharing a license with you. But if you are here strictly to purchase and set up a license, let's go ahead and click that. Now here's our purchasing page. To purchase a license. So one license includes a full set of policies and a cookie consent for a website or an application. So just keep that in mind that the annual, whether you sign up for the monthly plan or the annual plan to save yearly, either way, everything's included to protect one website. So for today's example, I'm going to do monthly. And then you need to put in your payment information. And hopefully this is blurred out as you are watching this. And upon clicking Save Card, you'll be prompted to now, you'll be notified that you've saved your card on file, and you'll see it listed right there. And here you can enter a promo code if you've been provided one, maybe by your web designer, for example. If you don't have a promo code, that's no big deal. You can then agree to our policies and our subscription terms and click Buy License.
In the future, Hans, if I need to update my card on file, I would do that in my dashboard.
Yes, you could absolutely do that in the future. So if you want to update your card in the future, you can do that in your account settings area, which I'll show you here. You can click your name in the top right corner and then head over to billing, and you'll see an area where you can click your card on file and update it to a different card on file.
Excellent.
Excellent. So after purchase, you're being brought right into the questionnaire to generate your policies. And the first question is this for a website or an application? In today's example, as a reminder, we're using this fake website, cm2.termageddon.com, as our architectural design business website. So we're going to say that this is a website and our URL is cm2.termageddon.com. Now, as a reminder, you want to put your live website link in here. So if you're currently building your website, but it's going to be hosted on a different domain URL, you want to put your future domain URL. So if you sell muffins, for example, and your build out site is muffins.hostingcompany.com, but your actual website will be muffinscompany.com, you would enter muffinscompany.com. And this is good leeway to saying that if you get stuck on any of these questions, you can hover over any section, and on the right-hand side, there's a video guide explaining how to answer each question. So if you ever get stuck, just know on the right side, there is an FAQ section with video support.
That guy in those videos looks pretty familiar.
I've realized I have this one shirt and I have like 7 of them, and this is just all I wear all day. So anyways, all right, I'm moving us along here. So when you answer a page, when you answer the entire questionnaire, you can just click next, being brought to the next set of questions. The next set of questions is the policy identifier. This helps our tool understand what policies you need to comply with applicable laws and to help limit your liability as a website owner. In today's example, we talked about how our website has a contact form, so we're collecting names and emails at the very least. So I definitely want to have a privacy policy because privacy policies need to explain the data you collect and how you use that data. I'm going to add a terms of service because I like that for virtually any website. A terms is basically a laundry list of reasons why people can't sue you. So I always like to adding that. An EULA, otherwise known as an end user license agreement, is very rarely needed for most of our customers. It's only if you sell packaged software through your website. So I'm going to keep that as inactive. And then for the disclaimer, I need to read through each question to see if a disclaimer is needed. And since we're an architecture firm, I don't think there's anything. You know what? I'm going to say yes to potentially providing information that could be seen as legal advice in case I ever want to blog about, I don't know, blueprints and how to get them passed by the government. I don't know. I'm not an architecture expert, but let's just say that was enough for me to say, you know what? I'd rather just overdo it than underdo it and get the disclosures in there. And you're going to see that being a theme today's presentation. We'd much rather overdo it than underdo it when it comes to these disclosures. All right, so we have activated the privacy policy, the terms, and the disclaimer. Let's go ahead and move forward. Also, if you're wondering, where's the cookie policy and consent tool? That's determined after our tool understands what laws apply, because only some laws require a cookie consent solution, not all. So we'll figure that out later in the questionnaire. All right, we're proceeding forward, and now we have the business questions. So who owns the website? I'm going to say a company owns it, and I'll say the company's name is CM2 LLC. Now, if you're an individual and you're like, well, I may have a business in the future, or I plan to launch my business in the very near future, you can put in your business name if that's coming sooner than later. But I also want to note you can list person for now and then save and come back and change it to your company name if you ever make changes. And that's good leeway to say you can always come back into your questionnaire and make updates with your business. That's important to keep your policies up to date. Where was the company formed? I'll say the United States. And I'll pick Illinois because Ricky and I are both in the Chicago area.
Mhm.
And then where would you like to, oh, sorry, company name or legal business name? You will be prompted to answer that. And also, so you know, if you're based in the European Union or United Kingdom, while answering this questionnaire, you may see different questions. And that is because Termageddon is a conditional-based generator. Our questionnaire changes based on your business structure, how you're collecting data, and so forth. So if you're seeing slightly different questions, that's normal. Just go ahead and just keep answering. And as a reminder, Termaguiders here on the right-hand side to help you along the way.
If your legal entity also isn't listed like S Corp or any other ones that may not be all that, you can always choose other and input the correct legal entity that you are.
For sure. S Corp, a lot of people put corporation, or C Corp, they'll put corporation, but I agree, Ricky. If you feel most comfortable stating exactly that, you're more than welcome to do so. Great catch. Where would you like to resolve disputes? Now, this is whatever's most convenient for you. So this brings people to your turf rather than you having to go to their turf if there were to ever be a dispute with your website. So this is a really important section. Now, for us, I'm going to say that we want to resolve disputes in Illinois, and for county, not country, county, we're going to say Cook County. Chicago for anyone who's interested. What is your business address? I'm going to put in a fake address here for this today's example.
Maybe like the headquarters of your business or like the main operating area. Hans, what if I work out of my home?
That's an excellent question, Ricky. And on the right-hand side, we definitely have a lot of FAQs for this area because a lot of website owners, especially those working from home, don't really want to list their home address on their publicly facing policies. So what I can say is not all laws require contact information like address to be disclosed, but a lot of website owners that work from home regardless don't want to provide their home address. So this is unfortunately a decision you're going to have to make on your end. But just know that Termaguider, we try to provide insights on how best to address this. For what it's worth, a lot of people who work from home that are small business, one-person website owners, they don't list their address. But coming from a privacy standpoint, we think it's best practice.
And in the event you do need to list something there, you can always use like a PO box or like a forwarding address that you could get
As
set
a
up.
backup. Yeah. Same goes for phone number. A lot of people are hesitant to provide their phone number. Well, it is required under some, not all privacy laws, but some. And so, of course, best practice is to list it. However, if you don't want to list it, you can leave it blank if you wish. And then as for an email, I will put in info at. A lot of people put generic emails here so that your personal business email isn't accessible. And as a reminder, Termaguider's on the right-hand side if you need to dive deeper on this. Okay, moving along. Now we are at the Privacy Law Identifier page. So this helps our tool understand what laws apply, and we need to answer this page first because the rest of our questionnaire is completely dependent on what laws apply. And that's because each privacy law has its own disclosure requirements. So therefore, our tool needs to first understand, well, which of these laws apply. Now, for today's example, I'm going to say, yes, I do business in the United States, and I'm going to select all states because I'm an architecture firm and I'd happily do business in all states. And maybe I haven't done business quite yet in Vermont, for example, but I'd rather just get the disclosures in there than not. And that's the mindset I like to take with this. If you're willing to do business anywhere, just having it disclosed now versus having to add it later. Do you collect the personal information of residents of any people from the United States? Well, anyone from the United States could submit an inquiry on my contact form on my website, meaning I would be collecting their personal information. So yet again, I'm going to select all here because I want I'd rather just overdo it than underdo it, knowing that, yeah, anyone from the US could inquire through my website. Do I have annual gross revenues of more than $25 million? I wish, but I'll say no for today's example.
But we're starting just one building only.
That's right. Yeah. Our architecture firm hasn't done that much yet. So now, as you'll see, a handful of laws already have been activated, and then some are inactive, but we have follow-up questions. So go ahead and review these questions. As a general statement, these additional questions on a per privacy law basis tend to only apply to larger businesses. So most people select no for these. Most of our small business customers select no, but take the time to read through each one of these. And just to pull one out of an example, do you annually control or process the personal information of 10,000 or more residents of Delaware? So, are 10,000 Delaware residents submitting an inquiry every year through your website or visiting your website in the first place? Typically, this is an easy no for most website owners. Are you a large business as defined by the US Small Business Administration? We provide insights here on how to look that up for the industry you service. But again, most of our customers are small businesses, so they keep that off as no. If you do change an answer from no to yes, the law will become activated.
And in some cases, not only will that need to qualify, but more questions may appear under that question after toggling yes.
Great catch, Ricky. And then moving on beyond the United States, we have the additional countries area. The first one is the EU. Do you offer goods or services to residents of the European Union or European Economic Area? I'm not really offering it. I don't have like a dedicated page saying, hey, German people, come buy my architecture services. So I'm going to keep that as no. But do you monitor or track the behavior of residents of the European Union? Well, I'm not blocking traffic from there. And I do know I have tracking technologies on my website, such as analytics tools or advertising technologies. So I'd rather play it safe and just say yes and overdo it rather than underdo it.
What if I don't have an analytics tool, but I do use like Google Maps or something? Would I still need to maybe say yes there?
Yeah, so Google Maps in video embeds as well, like YouTube video embeds, they do put tracking technologies onto a website visitor's browser. I tend to lean towards yes towards that because as you'll see, much rather overdo it than underdo it. So, technically that data is being collected and shared with Google, and that's enough for me to be like, okay, tracking that could be technically done. So I'm just going to say yes. In United Kingdom Data Protection Act, this is basically the same questions as the EU's one. I'm gonna say no to offering goods or services, but yes, technically I could track them. Now comes Canada's PIPEDA. Do you collect the personal information of Canadians? Well, I'm not blocking traffic from Canada. Anyone from Canada could submit an inquiry, so I'd rather overdo it than underdo it and select yes. And then Quebec Law 25, I'm going to select yes as well because, well, I'm not blocking traffic from Quebec and therefore someone could submit their information through my website. And then Australian Privacy Act, do you collect the personal information of Australians or residents of any Australian external territories? I'm going to keep this as no, but maybe you do business in Australia, or maybe you'd rather just overdo it and get it added in there, or maybe you are in Australia. Whatever the case is relevant to you, that's where you answer it accordingly. Now, have you signed a contract requiring you to comply with any of the above laws? I'm going to select the most popular answer, which is no. Moving along, we are now at the functionalities page of the website. Now, this is a really nice feature because this can help expedite the next 2 pages of the questionnaire. And basically, we just need to know what functionalities you have on your website or what you plan to add in the very near future. So for today's example, for CM2, this is a WordPress website. So we're going to select Content Management System. We use a third-party host, whether that's GridPane, A2 Hosting, GoDaddy, Bluehost, WP Engine, the list goes on and on. Duda, Squarespace, the list goes on. Now, we know that we have a form on our contact form here. We know that we have a video embed from the YouTube video embed that we have on the website. We know that we have calendar booking embed from the Calendly embed page. And we know we have a map embed, which is via the Google Map embed. And let's also say that we have analytics installed behind the scenes, Google Analytics. We don't plan on doing e-commerce. We don't plan on running ads. We're not using data linking platforms. Font loading scripts. The most common one here is Google Fonts. Hopefully you know whether you use Google Fonts or not. I'll say for this example that we are. Links to third-party websites. Well, I offer links to my social media accounts, so that's a third-party link. So I'm going to select yes there. Security and spam prevention features. So any measures you or your website host has put in place to protect your website. Squarespace, for example, comes with security measures by default, and many hosting companies implement security as well. So most people do have some form of security and spam prevention. Social media embedding features. Now, this is if you're embedding like a feed, like an Instagram feed or a Facebook feed or something like that into your website where you're like showing posts that people have made or you've made. This is not everyone, but some people do it. But for this example, we'll select no. And tag managers like Google Tag Manager, we're not using. This is more advanced stuff if you're like running ads or heavy duty scripts through a tool called Google Tag Manager. This is no for most users. I'm going to go ahead and click next here. And now we have a modal that provides you the opportunity to pre-fill the most popular answers that come with the features and functionalities we've just selected. Selecting yes is basically going to help expedite the setup process here. We recommend selecting this, but also taking the time to review it. So we're going to say yes to preloading all the popular answers. And now our tool is taking into account all the features and functionalities you have, paired with all the laws that apply, and then spitting out the most popular items that come along with this stuff. So, for example, we say that we have it pre-selected that you collect email address because that's very commonly collected through forms and calendar booking embeds. Well, sure enough, our contact form collects email address, so that's right on point. We ask for names, which often come through through forms and calendar booking embeds. Yep, we do that. However, we also said we have phone number and postal address. Well, I'm not collecting those, so I'm going to unselect those items because I'm not actually collecting those through my website. The other ones that I've skipped through here are things behind the scenes. And I understand these are a little bit more abstract, and that's why we preloaded the most popular answers so that you can kind of see, oh, I didn't realize that my security and spam prevention features mean that I'm collecting our website visitors' browsing history, or that simply by embedding a calendar booking embed, I'm collecting calendar and account information. You can read through these other items and select what applies to you. And also, if you're collecting additional data types, that can be selected down below as well.
A lot of extra things here that we make sure we want to be able to include if you are asking for these things on your website specifically.
Yes.
Note if you're asking for like leave a comment or extra posting, you don't have to disclose what people might be saying in like a broad open environment like that. Just if you're asking for any of these specifically, then we want to make sure those will get included.
Exactly. So like if you have a comments area, well, you can't control what people comment in, but if you have an area that says, what is your birthday? Well, then you want to make sure you say that you collect people's age, which is one of the options here. You can also add data types if you don't see a particular item that you are collecting through your website. We see this often with like membership application forms or nonprofit application forms, but you can always add data types manually too. Okay, I'm going to click next, and this following page summarizes on the left-hand side all the data that we said that we collect, and on the right, and you can click into any one of these. And then on the right-hand side, you can see what are the pre-populated answers for the purposes for why we collect it, the sources for how we collect it, the legal basis, do you share the data, and with whom you share the data with. So you do want to go click through each one of these icons and just review the answers to ensure that they accurately reflect your business. One piece of advice, or not advice, not legal advice, but one piece of information I like to share is that a lot of website owners think, well, I don't share any data I I collect. Whereas sharing data is actually quite common. And a good example here is if someone submits a contact form on your website, if you receive an email in your inbox with that person's contact details, that means you've not only collected their names and emails, but you've shared that with your email service provider, whether that's Gmail, G Suite, Outlook, Microsoft 365, or any other third-party email server. Ricky, I don't know if you have any other thoughts here. I know that this page is a good summarizing tool, but yeah, did you have any other thoughts for this section?
In the event where you go through one of these and you're like, hey, I'm not collecting this for this reason, you can always untoggle that to make sure that doesn't get included in any of the disclosures that are made. In the event where, maybe you're not collecting name to, book or manage calendar appointments, and that's just a random one just because that's the one I saw. If that also applies to something like email address, there's a copy feature that's right above the fields there on the middle, where you could take the answers you did for name and then apply them to a different form so that they all match for the same reasons you might be collecting something.
Excellent, Ricky. So in name, we went to the name section, we unselected booking appointments, and now under email address, or sorry, we clicked over to email address, we loaded in all the answers for name, and now you'll see we don't have that selected anymore. So that's a really good way to expedite. Once you fill out one section, it's one piece of data, it's very easy to take those answers and add them to a different area. Excellent. We're now in the final set of questions, which are the policy-specific questions. And we're going to go a little bit faster through these because Termageddon's on the right-hand side for each one. But the first one, do you collect and use cookies? Virtually all websites in this day and age use cookies. WordPress sites, Squarespace sites, Duda sites, just Wix websites, they basically all use cookies. So the vast majority of customers answer yes to this question. And if you receive a notice saying you do need to activate a cookie policy and consent tool, go ahead and go through activating it. Now, this is through our third-party partner, UserCentrics. This consent solution comes complimentary with your Termageddon purchase. You just need to agree to their policies to activate this complimentary tool for yourself. And on the left-hand side, shortly here, we're going to see privacy policy, terms, cookie policy and consent tool, and disclaimers. So that got added. Are we targeting children with the website? No. Do we sell any of the data? No. How long do you store information provided to you? Although you can put a definitive time period here, like every 2 years. Most people leave it a little more open-ended and say until we no longer need the information to contact you. Do you use information for direct marketing? Yes. Email marketing. We may want to do email marketing in the future. Automated decision making? No, that's like related to if you're pre-approving people for loans based off the credit score and you've never spoken to them, things along those lines. Again, read the Termageddon if you need clarification. Profiling? No, we're not profiling people who inquire on the website. How do you protect the personal information that you collect? This is the one question where I prefer to underdo it rather than overdo it. So I'm just going to select one item, which is using an SSL certificate. Any website that has this connection is secure little icon right here, I'm using Chrome to show this, or starts with HTTPS, that means you have the SSL. You only want to select the things you know you 100% do for this section, because this is kind of your promise as to how you practice privacy. So I'd much rather under-promise and over-deliver. Would you like to include links to your own policies on your website privacy policy? No. Does the website respond to do not track signals? I'll answer no. In what countries do you process the personal information? I'm going to say United States because that's where I'm located. And that's where my processor or my third-party vendors are located too. Do you intend to transfer data outside of the European Union? I'm going to say yes, the United States. And what I mean by that is if someone's in the EU, like Germany, and they submit an inquiry, upon submitting that inquiry, technically that data gets moved from the EU to the US, so you can see that inquiry.
Yes, and the US is an international organization to those countries listed.
Excellent. Do you have you employed a full-time data protection officer? No. What information will the consumer need to provide to verify their identity to exercise the rights? So if you ever get a request where someone's like, hey, delete all my data, what would they need to provide you to verify they are who they say they are? Most people say if you can verify your email, that's enough to say you are who you say you are. Who is accountable for your privacy practices and policies? You can load in the previous answers. And because we didn't ask for your contact information previously, you have to type that in. Who would you like to offer privacy rights to? If you'd like to offer privacy rights to just people that have those rights, you can offer that. Or if you want to open it up and offer everyone the same equal rights, you can select this option. I like to select this option if I plan to use the geolocation feature of our cookie consent, meaning that you can only display the cookie pop-up to people that actually need to see it. So people from California or Canada or United Kingdom or European Union, for example. But if I want my cookie consent to be visible for everyone and I want to treat everyone equally, well, then you can select this option. Who should the user contact to exercise their data privacy rights? So if someone does need to have their data get deleted and they need to reach out to someone, who is it at your company that they reach out to submit that request? So you can load in all the previous answers and just put a web page link in there. I put a link to the contact page. Again, as a reminder, put your live website link. So if you're doing your staging site right now, don't put your staging URL here because that will go away once you launch your official website. So put what your live website URL will be. How we notify users of changes to this privacy policy? I'd go with the most popular answer, which is by posting the updated privacy policy to the website, because that's the service Termageddon provides. Upon clicking next, we're brought into the terms of service questionnaire. Do you take payments to the website? No. Can users create accounts? No. Can users make comments? Well, Ricky, we talked about that blog post from earlier about blueprints or something like that. So we could say yes to that. And then do you want to prohibit certain types of content? I'm going to say yes and just select all the main ones. Committing illegal acts, suggesting violence, exploitive of children. Everyone basically selects all, but that's up to you. In what year did you publish your website? So if you're launching your new site this year, that's a pretty easy question to answer. But if you've had your website for a long time, a trick you can do is you can go to this website, whois.com/whois, and type in your domain name. And that will actually tell you when the domain was registered, which may give you insights into what year you launched it. So I'll say 2016 because that's when it got registered. Who should the user contact if they believe you're infringing on their intellectual property or believe someone else is infringing on your intellectual property? I'll load in the same answers as prior. Do you subscribe to an industry or trade code of conduct that requires you to put a link to their code of ethics? This is typically no. I will note if you're part of the National Association of Realtors, you can put a link to their code of ethics in there. That's one of the popular ones we see. How will you notify users of changes to the terms? We'll go by posting the updated terms of the by posting the updated terms to the website because that's the service Termageddon provides, and that provides immediate notice of changes to users. Clicking next, and we are now brought into the cookie policy and consent tool. Now, I know cookie consents are not everyone's favorite thing, but they are a really good privacy feature. They basically help ensure your website visitors don't get their data just harvested and shared off with big companies like Google unless they give their consent to do so. So I know they're kind of visually annoying, but also in the same breath, like you're respecting your website visitors' privacy. Like it's a good move. And I think in the long term, more and more people will understand that they're beneficial features. So in this section, we'll show you how to get that all set up. So the very first thing we need to do is style it. So let's visit like termageddon.com, for example, to see what the cookie banner looks like. So when we style it, those purple deny and accept all buttons, that's what gets changed up, these purple colors. So what you want to do is you want to put in your logo color, for example, but I'll just pick it random. But I will note if you click down here, you can put in even your hex code number for your exact logo color. Next comes the policy settings triggers. So people need to be able to change their consent choices after they first make their initial decision when visiting your website. And I'll show you an example. In this banner, when I click any of these buttons, deny, accept all, I'll click deny. Do you see the fingerprint icon that remains in the bottom left corner? When users click this, they are able to come back in and change their consent choices. So I can change it to accept all. That's the fingerprint icon, which sits in the bottom right left corner of your website. And then we offer another option, which is a privacy settings hyperlink, which gets copied and pasted into your global footer of your website, for example, which means that if people scroll all the way to the bottom, they'll see the words privacy settings and will be able to click that and change their consent choices. Now, the rest of these items are abilities, the ability to change content, just change displays, change various details. But I'm going to move on to the very next question that we do need to answer, which is what is the privacy policy URL? So when you create a privacy policy page, that's on your website, that's the place where you copy and paste the URL into. So most people, it's privacy-policy, so that's what I'll list here. Did I fumble on my wording, Ricky, or did that work for everyone? Okay,
That's
good.
great.
Ricky's giving me a thumbs up. Imprint URL, you can provide one if you have one. And then Google Consent Mode, Microsoft Clarity. This is only if you're using Google Tag Manager or Microsoft Clarity, or taking some advanced steps with your digital marketing and analytics efforts. Last but not least, though, this is the most important part of your cookie policy and consent tool page, which is running a scan of the website. Now, first and foremost, if you have what's called a sitemap scan, we highly recommend running a sitemap. What is the sitemap? Well, if you go to your domain and add /sitemap.xml, if you have a sitemap, it will forward to the correct URL. And ours forwarded to /sitemaps.xml. Copy that URL, paste it into here, say yes, it's a sitemap, and click Run Scan. Now, for the record, I just ran a scan of Termageddon.com, not our actual demo site today, CM2, because I don't think I set up a sitemap for this sample site. So I wanted you guys to see what it looks like to run a sitemap scan, but also what happens if a scan doesn't pick up a particular item. So that's going to happen in the scan result. For example, we probably won't see Calendly or Google Maps, because we don't actually have those embedded. So I'm going to show you how to manually add these as well. And Termageddon's a really big site, so the scan may take an extra second or two here. I swear, whenever I share my screen, the scanner takes longer.
Me too. That's I like making that joke that everything else never works immediately when you need it to.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay, so we had the scan results come in, and as a reminder, we scanned a different website, not the sample site for today, but we did that on purpose because what we want to show you is, as you'll see, we don't have Google Maps listed here. However, we know we have Google Maps embedded into the website. That's a simple addition. So you just click Add Service, Predefined, Google Maps. And what other third-party tools we have? We have Calendly and YouTube videos. Okay, there's YouTube video, but there's no Calendly. So I'm going to click Add Service, Calendly.
Nice.
Now, also, let's say that we plan to add something in the future, such as reCAPTCHA, a very common security tool. Add reCAPTCHA, click Add Service. Now, I will note, reCAPTCHA is a third-party tool. So that means our tool, our consent banner is going to block reCAPTCHA from loading. However, website owners use reCAPTCHA as a security feature. So if their security feature is turned off by default, the website owner is not too happy, because then the website's not secure. So I will note there are privacy-friendly alternatives to reCAPTCHA, but if you want reCAPTCHA to load regardless of consent choices, you can edit reCAPTCHA, and under General, change the category from functional to essential. And you can apply this to any third-party script. You can change it from functional to essential. And that means that technology is going to load regardless of consent choices. However, you want to be cautious doing this, because that kind of defeats the purpose of a cookie consent. If we marked all of these as essential, we're not doing our website visitors any favors, because we're just taking all their data and sharing it with all these third parties. So I recommend being cautious with this. The goal here, if you're going to have a consent banner, you might as well have it working properly, which is to get consent first prior to letting these third party scripts load.
It's a great point.
Thanks, Ricky. Last but not least, for the disclaimer, is this disclaimer being created for a lawyer or a law firm? We are neither. We are a architecture company. Clicking next, and we have officially created a very extensive set of policies and cookie consent for a website. And we wanted to take the time to really dive deep into these items. So I apologize this video was so long, but we've really taken into account like a website that's accessible anywhere, collecting a bunch of data, sharing a bunch of data, and now we've gotten it addressed. Now comes the final step, which is to share access with your colleagues, your web designer, your lawyer, whoever you wish to share it with, which I'll talk about in more detail shortly, as well as how to embed the codes into your website. So let's first talk about sharing. So if you have a web designer, for example, you can share this license via email or share via link. By sharing access with someone, that ensures they can access your license, review the questionnaire, customize the policies, grab the embed codes to add to your website. That's really important for your web designer, for example. So we encourage you sharing the license, and it also ensures we can email them directly when new laws impact a particular license. So it may be valuable to share this with a colleague, for example. Then last but not least, to get the auto updating benefits of Termageddon, we now need to get these codes added to the website. So you need to, for this example, you need to create a privacy policy page on your website, create a terms page of your website, create a disclaimer page, and create a cookie policy page. Then in the body area of each page, copy and paste each code and paste it into the body of each respective page. Then I recommend adding a hyperlink to those pages in the footer of your website. So just like how there's like a link right down here designed with WordPress, you can have it say privacy policy, terms and conditions, disclaimer, cookie policy, and have each one of those linkable to your policy pages. Now your website policies are globally available on all of your policy pages.
Hans, do I need to have each policy have its own respective page?
You do, Ricky. A lot of website owners like to consolidate and put all their policies on one page, but unfortunately, that has actually resulted in website owners losing court cases against various small website visitors. And we do actually have an article talking about why consolidation is not a good idea. Hopefully, I spelled consolidate correctly. I did. Excellent. But this article discusses it in more detail. But long story short, have one policy per page. That keeps the lawsuits away. So, and then last but not least comes the cookie policy, comes the cookie consent tool. So if you have a WordPress website, we offer instructions here on how to activate our plugin and copy and paste our code in. And for all other platforms, you simply just need to copy and paste this code into the top header of your website at the very top. And that ensures that the script can control all other scripts that load below it, like a YouTube embed or Google Analytics embed. And once you embed this into your website, visit your website in a fresh incognito window and begin testing. So when you visit in a fresh incognito window, you should see the cookie banner, click deny or click accept, and go through the experience of your website. Click on videos, click on map embeds, submit forms, make sure everything's working, especially when someone clicks deny. And if it's not working, we typically provide instructions in the blocker messages, or you can just reach out to support. We can assist you as well. Also, we have extensive documentation on step-by-step instructions on how to embed these things via our support guide, which you can click right here, discussing more step-by-step guides based on what web platform you use and so forth. And that's it. And I say that's it, but you've all been through a lot. You know, it takes a long time to get comprehensive policies. But what's the benefit now? Well, now you've officially set up your strategy to keeping up to date with these changing regulations. At the time of this recording, Ricky and I know that there's 2 new sets of privacy laws going into effect in 28 days from now. And that just goes to show, like, who's monitoring this stuff other than attorneys, you know? And so now you have the benefit of having a strategy to being notified when new laws change, get notified when we have new questions for you to hop in and answer. Typically, that's just with one-click updates, and also be alerted when we're pushing newly required disclosures right automatically to your website policy pages because you've embedded our codes which allow us to push those updates. And yeah, I hope that helps. And if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to reach out to support. There's a 50-50 chance you'll be talking to Ricky or me or someone else on the team. And yeah, thank you so much for choosing Termageddon. Ricky, any closing remarks on your end?
No, I think we covered over everything pretty well. If you've reached this point in the video, then congratulations. You've generated policies for yourself and your website. So nice job. Nice job taking that initiative and making sure you're compliant with all those crazy laws.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you all so much. Thank you for your business. And yeah, please reach out anytime. Bye, everyone.
Bye.